A massive earthquake can happen at any second. Are you prepared for it? In the last few weeks, researchers have been warning us about a possible earthquake that could hit certain regions soon. And when scientists use a word like soon, it doesn't mean what you'd think. Because here's the uncomfortable part. If it happened right now while you're watching this, what would your chances actually be? Let's set the scene. It's a Monday morning. You're getting ready to start your day. Coffee's brewing, phone's in your hand. Maybe you're still half asleep, thinking about everything except this. And then the ground starts moving under you. Your first instinct is going to be to run. Get to a door, get outside, get somewhere that feels safer. But that instinct might be the exact thing that gets you hurt. You've got about 10 seconds to make the right call. That's it. Here's what actually works, and it's probably not what you'd assume. If you're indoors, the move is drop, cover, and hold on. Get low, get under something sturdy like a table or a desk, and protect your head and neck. Stay away from windows, mirrors, anything tall enough to come down on you, and forget the doorway. That's outdated advice. In most modern homes, it won't protect you the way people assume. If you're in bed when it happens, the safest move might just be staying there and pulling a pillow over your head. A lot of injuries happen from people jumping up and stepping on glass or debris in the dark. If you're outside, get away from buildings, power lines, anything overhead. Open space is genuinely your best friend in that moment. If you're driving, pull over somewhere away from bridges and overpasses and just stay put with your seatbelt on until it's over. But here's what really gets me. Most people have never actually thought about the small stuff. Where the gas shutoff valve is. Where did you leave the keys? Whether there are shoes anywhere near the bed? Whether the family even has a plan for where to meet if the phones go down? Most people find out the answers to those questions while it's happening, and that's the worst possible moment to be figuring it out for the first time. So now you know what to do in that first moment, but surviving the shaking is only step one. What happens after, in the hours, maybe days that follow, is a different story entirely. Let's take this a step further. What if it's not just a strong quake? What if it's the one researchers have quietly been tracking for years? The kind that doesn't just crack a window or two, but genuinely reshapes a city. The roads you don't think twice about on your morning commute, some of them simply aren't usable anymore. The building where you work or where your kids spend their day, you don't know if it's still standing, and your phone can't get a signal to tell you either way. The power is out, and not for an hour, maybe for days. Water might not be safe to drink because the systems that treat it could be damaged too. Stores nearby are closed, not by choice, but because everything on their shelves is on the floor, and there's no truck coming to restock them anytime soon. And here's the part that really keeps seismologists up at night. In a lot of these high-risk zones, the shaking itself isn't even the biggest danger. It's what can follow right after. In coastal areas, that means waves that could arrive within minutes. Minutes that could be spent just standing there confused, trying to figure out what's happening and where to go. This isn't something exaggerated for effect. It's a scenario that the scientists actually studying these fault lines describe as worth taking seriously, not as fiction, but as something to prepare for. So why is this actually on scientists' radar right now, and not just as some background worry? There's a fault line running along the Pacific Northwest coast called the Cascadia Subduction Zone, over 600 miles long, stretching right beneath cities like Seattle, Portland, and Vancouver. Geological records show this fault has produced major earthquakes roughly every few hundred years, going back thousands of years. It's been over 3 centuries since the last one. Recent research puts the probability of a magnitude 9 earthquake there sometime in the next 50 years at around 15%. That might sound small at first, but in earthquake science, that's the kind of number researchers take very seriously. And it's not the only one being watched. Down in Southern California, scientists have found that a stretch of the San Andreas Fault near Los Angeles is holding stress levels not seen there in over 1,000 years, after going more than 160 years without a major rupture. In this field, that long a silence isn't necessarily reassuring. Researchers often compare it to pulling back a slingshot further and further, the longer it goes without releasing. What's unsettling is that none of this is random. It's a pattern. And multiple research teams working independently of each other are pointing at that same pattern and saying it deserves real attention. Because when this happens, and it's a when, not an if, it isn't going to wait for a convenient moment. It won't check if the kids just got dropped off, or if there's a work call in progress, or if the coffee's only half finished. The areas being watched most closely right now aren't empty stretches of land. They're home to millions of people living completely ordinary lives, not that different from the one you're living right now. So here's where this leaves us. Scientists studying these fault lines have mostly stopped asking whether a major earthquake is coming. What they keep asking over and over, study after study, is when. And the honest truth is, nobody actually knows the answer to that, not with any real certainty. That's the nature of this kind of risk. It doesn't come with a warning label or a countdown clock. But there is one thing within reach: how informed we choose to be and how prepared we are before we ever need to be. Sometimes the most powerful thing isn't predicting exactly when something happens. It's making sure that when it does, it doesn't catch us completely off guard. If this is the kind of thing that's been on your mind too, that's worth sitting with for a moment, because awareness can actually save lives. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm genuinely curious what part of this stuck with you. And if this changed how you think about being ready, that's exactly the point. Thank you for watching, and stay safe.